Hey everybody, what is going on? I hope you all are doing well today. Elliot here and welcome back to The Fragrance Well. So, as of me shooting today, it is officially, as far as the calendar date is concerned, the fall or autumn solstice. So this officially means the season of autumn is starting in the northern hemisphere, season of spring is starting in the southern hemisphere. I'm in the northern hemisphere, so we're gonna talk about what goes on in the northern hemisphere. Anyway, with that being said, I'm gonna do some wrapping up, if you will, of my summertime wares or summer fragrances. What we're gonna do for today's video is I'm going to go over my best summer fragrance pickups for the year of 2024 up to this point, and I am going to rank them. I've actually got 11. I was trying to get it down to 10, but there were two, that were kind of fighting for that 10th spot that I was just like, I can't leave either of them off. I gotta include it, so we're gonna do 11 instead of 10. We'll keep the video fairly simple. I'll go over what the fragrance kind of smells like and maybe just give a brief reason as to why I put it in the ranking that it is. And when I say best summertime pickups, I'm talking about fragrances that work really well in summer-like temperatures, whether indoors or outdoors, doesn't really matter. And these are going to be fragrances that I have bought throughout the entire year of 2024. Not all of these were purchased during the summertime. So let's not waste any more time. Let's go ahead and get right into it. But before we do, as always, please remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and please hit that bell icon and enable notifications so you can be notified when I upload new videos. Let's get into it. All right, coming in at the 11th spot. Oh, by the way, before I get started, let me just mention that whether it's ranked high or low, I think all of these fragrances are great. There's nothing here I don't necessarily like. So, coming in at the 11th spot from Orto Parisi, this is Megamare. Orto Parisi, Megamare for the 11th ranking spot. So what is this fragrance real quick? It's pretty much a very artificial smelling, somewhat fruity, aquatic fragrance. The fruitiness kind of has like this fake watermelon kind of smell that's coming from what is believed to be a note of Cologne, which can give you aquatic characteristics, but also has this kind of slight fruity smell with it. So you definitely get that here. Slightly salty, if you will. Very musky also, and also I think a heavy dose of ambroxan as well. So once it dries down, I mean, it doesn't really change too much on you, but some of the aquatic nature of the fragrance kind of withers away. But this is a very powerful scent. If I was ranking fragrances based on how strong they are, this one would probably be number one. Matter of fact, I might do that video idea. I'll mark that down in my brain. But anyway, I rank this at the 11th spot, mainly because it's a great summertime wearing fragrance, no doubt about that. But honestly, I think the best thing that it has going for itself is its power and strength. The smell overall is pleasant, but it's kind of like, it's okay. It doesn't really blow me away from a smell standpoint. I did kind of want the fragrance for that power standpoint. I just thought that would be interesting to see how it does perform, particularly here in these Florida environment, and it definitely holds up to its name. But yeah, that's pretty much all it has going for it. Smell-wise, like I said, it is pleasant. I do like the way it smells. It is a compliment garnering scent DNA, but overall, it's not like the greatest thing ever. So that's the only reason it made the 11th spot on this list. Once again, from Orto Parisi, this is Megamare. All right, let's move on to the 10th spot from Lorenzo Pizzalia. This is Sun-gria. Lorenzo Pizzalia, Sun-gria. Now, I imagine for many people, this is gonna be like higher up on the list for them if they were gonna rank like their summer pickups for the year. And this is a 2024 release, so it's very appropriate for this list. What is this fragrance, by the way? The name does imply what you get from it. Does have a bit of a Sun-gria smell-like vibe. It's got like the citrus nature. This one, you would say, is more of a tropical Sun-gria, so it's got like fruitiness. It overall does have a sweetness to the fragrance. It's very vanillic in nature, so it's more of a fun, outgoing, summertime version of a sangria fragrance, and it does have all that going for it, and it smells really, really good. It is definitely, the kind of scent where if you're in the summer mindset, if you will, this fragrance really captures that. The reason I put it at the 10th spot really is only because as much as I like this fragrance as good as it is. It's a style of fragrance I just don't wear that often. Fragrances that are, you know, very playful and sweet, they're not something I really reach for a ton. And this was a blind buy for me, so it's not like I sampled it and then bought it and then decided I wasn't gonna wear it. I just decided to kind of just go ahead and jump on this one, and I do like the scent. It does put me in the mindset of a Sun-gria, if you will, but like I said, very playful scent in nature, and it's just not something I wear that often. I think I've only worn this twice since I got it. So, once again, from the house of Lorenzo Pizzalia, this is Sun-gria. All right, we're gonna move on to the 9th spot, and coming from Giada, this is Ambassador. Giada Ambassador. I was debating not putting this one on the list because this was actually gifted to me by the brand, so technically it's not a pickup as much as it is just an addition, but the reason I decided to include it is, number one, this is a great fragrance really overall for the whole year, but actually works really well for summer, and that's just based on my own wearings and some suggestions from people, and it's just that good. And so I was just like, you know what, I don't care if I didn't necessarily buy this one. This one is a good addition for summertime wear. I've just had too many good experiences with it, the number of times I wore it for the summer. So what is this fragrance? In layman's terms, it's like a fruity version of Sauvage. It has fruity notes to it, has kind of a woody sweetness to it, has the spicy element very similar to what Sauvage has, mainly being that like peppery lavender combination. Now, does it smell exactly like Sauvage? No. Does it even wear like Sauvage? Not necessarily. It's actually a much smoother fragrance DNA overall, but I would say it definitely took some direction from what Sauvage gives, but it's a lot smoother overall. And in my mind, at first, when I did first impressions on this, I thought this was more of a fall time fragrance, but there were people who said like it actually works really well for the summer, or if not just all year round. And I wore it on a very hot day, and you know what? It actually did work. It worked perfectly. It smells great in the heat, and I imagine it probably smells great in the cooler temps too, but this is about summertime, and this fragrance does absolutely work as a summertime fragrance. So go figure. Once again, from Giada, this is Ambassador. All right, next one is going to be coming from Moncler, and this is in the 8th spot, and this is La Cordée. Moncler La Cordée as the 8th ranked fragrance. So this one here is basically lemon tea with a touch of a peppermint kind of smell. The main note in this is actually going to be cypress. You definitely kind of recognize that once it dries down, but the tea-like accords do stick around for the life of the fragrance. It's a pretty monotonous fragrance. It pretty much is very linear. It stays what it is once it sprays on all the way until it dries down. I mean, there's some slight change, but it's pretty much one thing, and it just does it really, really well. Really nice use of bergamot in this fragrance. I think that's what's kind of giving the citrus and the lemony nature of the fragrance. Anyway, reason I kind of put this at the 8th spot is, as good as this is, I pretty much use it as just kind of a grab and go scent. It's an awesome fragrance, but its simplicity and just my usage of it is kind of why I put it a little bit lower on the ranking. But man, I love just kind of spraying this fragrance and just going and running quick errands. It works perfectly for that. You might think it as one that doesn't perform very well. Actually, when I spray this on, especially when I spray it light, this fragrance will pretty much get you through the entire day. At least it does for me. And when I say I spray it light, I'm talking about like maybe just 2 to 4 sprays on my arm or something like that. I smell the fragrance throughout the rest of the day. You know, the lighter you spray, it's actually a little bit easier to be reminded that your scent is there because it's not bombarding your nose the entire day. Anyway, that's why I put this at the 8th spot. So once again, from Moncler, this is La Cordée. All right, we're moving on to the 7th spot. This one's coming from Creed, and this is Silver Mountain Water. Creed Silver Mountain Water. So I imagine many of you are familiar with the scent DNA. It's obviously been out for quite a while. If you're not though, this is another tea fragrance. How many tea fragrances do I have on it? Quite a few. All right, so this is another tea fragrance. This one definitely doesn't smell like La Cordée does. This is more of a kind of alpine cooling tea fragrance. And when I say alpine, it kind of has an attitude as if you're like skiing in the Alps or something like that. Skiing somewhere where it's cool. Does make use of a lot of ozonic notes and some galbanum to add kind of this cool bitter green combination that you get. Many people describe it as smelling kind of inky Can understand that, but it doesn't really bother me. And then loads of musk on the dry down. I think there might be some sandalwood or something like that too, just kind of adding a warmer element to the scent. But this is something that I really, really like and was able to get for a really good price. So that's why I, added it this year, so to speak. But yeah, the reason it's at the 7th spot, any fragrance kind of in the middle of the road, if you will. They're just good, and I just kind of had to place them somewhere. They're not the worst purchases, and when I say worst, they're not bad, but they're also not the best either. So this one, that's just kind of where this falls. I really love this scent DNA, but it just kind of falls in the middle of things, where it's just, hey, it's good, it deserves to be on the list, but it's not a top fragrance nor a low ranking fragrance either. So once again, from Creed, this is Silver Mountain Water. All right, we got the 6th ranking fragrance. That one's coming from Chanel, and it's gonna be Allure Homme Sport Superleggera. Chanel Allure Homme Sport Superleggera. So this fragrance just got released, maybe a month and a half ago or something like that. So this was a summertime release for this year. This is the newest fragrance release on this list, and might even be the newest fragrance release I have in my whole collection. But anyway, this fragrance here makes use of kind of a grapefruit and mandarin orange like citrus combination to add the fresher element to the fragrance. It does make use of sandalwood and cedar. The cedar sandalwood combination I think is synonymous with a lot of Chanel's fragrances, especially in the designer, affordable designer realm, not their higher end stuff. And this does have a little bit of a watery kind of feel to it, not quite aquatic, but just a little bit of a marine kind of quality to it. But this is a sport fragrance through and through. I think they just kind of modernized the original Allure Homme Sport DNA and made it this fragrance here, maybe intensified it a little bit too. It's not quite as smooth and creamy as that one is. This one's a little bit more kind of in your face and raw bones, if you will. And I put it at the 6th spot. While I really, really do like this stuff and I was intrigued by it and decided to buy it right away, it's not better than my top ranking ones. It's really good, it's really solid, deserves to be on the list, just kind of falls into the meat, if you will, of this ranked list. So that's why it's there. Once again, from Chanel, this is Allure Homme Sport Superleggera. All right, we're moving on to the top 5 at the 5th spot from Mason Francis Kurkdjian. It's Aqua Media Cologne Forte. Mason Francis Kurkdjian, Aqua Media Cologne Forte. I debated not putting this one on this list, mainly because the smell overall is a little bit more of a springtime scent, but then I thought about it and I'm like, you know what? It's a warm weather fragrance. I've worn it through the summertime. It works. It's a summer fragrance. So another tea fragrance here. I got, what do I have, 4? Yeah, I got 4 tea fragrances on this list. Another tea fragrance. This one here, more of a matcha tea smell, more lime centered in terms of the citrus element of this fragrance. Also makes quite a bit of use of musk, but this one also has an interesting note of fennel, which is adding a more green element to the fragrance. So while I have a lot of tea fragrances on this list, none of them smell alike, at least. But this one here, I put this at the 5th spot because first of all, this one could have been one of the top fragrances. It just kind of got eked out, but it is top 5. So this one, I mean, it's just amazing scent. I'll admit, maybe it's not for everyone. Maybe not everyone is into that tea like that. Some people have complained about performance with this. I can't speak to that. I get great performance out of this. I'm getting 6 to 8 hours, sometimes even longer, just depending on the weather and the environment for the day. But this is an amazing smelling scent, compliment garnering scent, calming scent, uplifting scent. It's a great warm weather wear, so it had to at least make this list somewhere at least close to the top. So once again, from Mason Francis Kurkdjian, this is Aqua Media Cologne Forte. All right, at the 4th spot, we've got another one from Lorenzo Pizzalia, and this is Black Sea. Lorenzo Pizzalia, Black Sea. All right, so this fragrance here, this is another one where I was like, it could be higher, but I think just the 3 I have at the top is just kind of hard to beat. But anyway, this fragrance here is an aquatic scent. This is a real deep and dark aquatic scent, almost cloudy, if you will. It has a cloudy mood to it. It's quite powdery. It is very green in nature. There's not a whole lot of a woody aspect to this fragrance. I mean, just a little bit, but it's more green in nature, almost algae-like, and makes quite a bit of use of ambergris. Definitely has some salty notes in this fragrance. So it's an aquatic fragrance, marine through and through. And interestingly enough, almost doesn't really smell like it would work for the summertime, but it's a summertime fragrance. You can use this year round too, to be fair, but there's something about when the heat hits this, it just kind of comes alive. It's not really a refreshing fragrance. It's not going to give you that attitude. It's a different vibe altogether. But for me, this fragrance is intoxicating. I love the smell of it. It lasts all day long easily. If it gets in your clothes, good luck washing it out. And yeah, this one is making the 4th spot on the list because it just is not quite as good for me as these top 3 in terms of it being a true summertime fragrance. So I had to include it on the list because it works for summer, but it just kind of missed out on the top 3 because the vibe of this is just different from your typical summertime scent. Once again, from Lorenzo Pizzalia, this is Black Sea. All right, guys, we're moving on to the top 3, and at the 3rd spot, we've got one from Louis Vuitton, and that's going to be Imagination. Louis Vuitton Imagination. I'm sure many of you are familiar with this scent, so you know what it is, and I'm sure many of you would also have this at least somewhere near the top of your ranked list if you were going to rank a list for this. What is this fragrance, by the way, just in case you don't know? It's a it's a tea fragrance that makes heavy use of ambroxan, so a warm, woody, somewhat musky characteristic to it. It does have some ginger-like freshness and spice, a little bit of bergamot as well, and there's also some cinnamon, Ceylon cinnamon in particular, giving a fresh spice element, and it has a little bit of a soapiness too. So it's a clean, fresh tea fragrance that is very easy to wear. It's not the most amazing thing ever created, but it definitely can work for the summertime. Matter of fact, this is just another one of those fragrances you can pretty much wear anywhere for anything, but it has its magic in the summertime heat as well. So that is why I put this on the list. And frankly, I had to put this in the top 3 because just the utility of this scent is just undeniable. I enjoy wearing this. It works wonders for summertime heat. So that's pretty much why I said this one's gotta be in the top 3. And I think it is easily one of my most worn fragrances that were new additions to my collection for this year. So once again, from Louis Vuitton in the 3rd spot, this is Imagination. All right, in the runner-up and 2nd spot, from the house of Kajal, this is Masa. Kajal Masa. So for me, man, this one is underrated. I think more people need to get their nose on this. That being said, if it's not for everyone, it's just not for everyone. I mean, maybe this is just my opinion. It's just that I haven't heard a lot of people talk about this. So that's why I'm saying it's underrated. What is this fragrance? This is a fresh, fruity patchouli fragrance. So it's fruity and earthy at the same time. However, the patchouli that is in this is a little bit of a lighter, more leafy style patchouli. Doesn't really have that earthy characteristics you would sometimes get from certain types of patchouli. So it's kind of just a testament to how the patchouli is used in this. You've also got like vetiver-like notes, so dry, woody, somewhat grassy notes, kind of making up the overall base, but the patchouli for me is what sticks out the most. The fruity notes, I kind of experience it kind of like an apple, citric kind of fruitiness. Now the actual note given is Mirabelle plum. I don't know what Mirabelle plum smells like, so that's why I just say apple. But I really love this stuff. It's very powerful, works wonders in the heat. It's compliment garnering. It has a little bit of a gentlemanly aspect to it. This fragrance really speaks to the kind of fragrances I like to wear a lot. So that is why it made the runner-up spot the number 2 spot. Once again, from Kajal, this is Masa. All right, guys, coming in at the number 1 spot, we got one from Roja Parfums. It's gonna be Isola Blu. Roja Parfums Isola Blu. Now, the way I've talked about this fragrance this year, if you've been watching my channel over the last 6 months or so, this shouldn't be a surprise to you. So this fragrance here, orange, lemon, lime, like citrus, very high quality in my opinion. I love the way the citrus comes across in this scent. It's a citrus fragrance first and foremost for me, and it is pretty much supported with some aromatics, you know, lavender, maybe some sage, stuff like that. And then it's just kind of got this very light but present woody, musky base, mostly woody, kind of blonde woods, if you will. Nothing really too barky or too forward. There may be some vetiver in here as well. It's all about the citrus though for me with this fragrance. The reason I put this at the #1 spot is this is a fragrance that just really speaks to me in terms of who I am as a person. It kind of lights up the part of the brain where it's hard to really describe. I don't know, this one just resonates with me. It has that it factor. I love the way this stuff smells. And look, this one's not necessarily gonna be the best compliment getting summertime fragrance. It's not gonna be the most long lasting summertime fragrance, but it just simply works for me. And that's just the way it is. So I had to put this at the #1 spot. It wasn't even a question. Once again, from Roja Parfums, this is Isola Blu. All right, guys, that is gonna do it for this video. That was my top 11 ranked summer fragrance pickups for the year of 2024. Let me know down in the comments below, what are some of your best summer fragrance pickups for this year? List your top 3 if you want to, or tell me however many you want to. Doesn't matter. I'm just looking forward to seeing what you guys have to say. Thanks again for watching all the way into the end. I really do appreciate you guys. Please remember to be well and smell well. And I'll see you in the next episode of The Fragrance Well. Have a good one.